Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Convention Tea. Convention Tea, this is where we spill the tea on conventions that we have attended. First of all, my name is Scarlett, and with me tonight is...
Jared the Greek. I survived Anime Expo, and I'm here to tell about it.
Yay, we survived Anime Expo. Can you believe that? Anime Expo was actually last week. We're actually recording like a week after the convention, which is unconventional for us. Usually we like to record like, okay, and let it just maybe sit for maybe 2 weeks, give or take, just so we can kind of like just gather our feelings together because it was still pretty recent. And plus we got a pretty busy month. July is convention season. Yes, we have San Diego Comic-Con coming up in 2 weeks, so we also get to prepare our butts for that one too. Talk about two major pop culture events happening in 1 month. But you know what?
Not exactly back to back, but...
Yeah, and also for East Coasters there, you got Otakon at the end of the month. And honestly, I wish we could also be attending Otakon because they got some top tier guests from Japan getting over there, like Shoji Kawamori of Macross fame. And we also had the voice actors for Mima and Tomoyo from Cardcaptor Sakura also making her presence there too. It's like, oh man, I wish we had time to go to Otakon. And they also have the the Mexican voice actors for Saint Seiya and Dragon Ball.
Which is pretty awesome, actually.
But we're not here to talk about Otakon. We're here to talk about Anime Expo 2023 to spill some convention tea. And if this is your first time tuning into an episode of Convention Tea, let me tell you all about who we are. Scarlet Rhapsody, we are a website. We are a platform that talks about conventions. We have been at this for the past, I want to say, wow, like almost like 20 or so years, like who's counting? Basically, I started Scarlet Rhapsody in my dorm room at university. I decided, like, you know what? I really enjoy going to these conventions. Let me write about them. Let me post my cosplay photos of them. And we are one of the longest running archives on convention history, anime convention history that you can find online. We still have our photos from Anime Expo 2003 on our website. And if you also go on my TikTok, at Deem Scarlet Asmal, you can also see photos from AX01, 02, and I'm actually thinking about making like mini blog posts about AX01, AX02 since there is an interest in early conventions and whatnot. So Scarlet Rhapsody, our goal is to just really archive and really talk about conventions, whether it's anime conventions, comic cons. Recently, we've been also going to more like tabletop cons and gaming theme cons. So we're just really here to just provide that service, especially after a friend of ours, Kevin Lillard, who used to run Fansview, had really recently passed this past year. And I really want to continue on the work he's been doing to really archive and memorialize and immortalize a lot of these events. So that's what we do here at Scarlet Rhapsody. And yeah, without any further ado, let's talk about Anime Expo 2023. I just had to be careful about that. It's like, wow. Because I remember Anime Expo 03, that was like at the Anaheim Convention Center. Like we had like less than like 15,000 people there. But we had like, it was a report, we had like 100 times the number of that. The final numbers for Anime Expo 23, according to Wikipedia, is 160,000 attendees. Can you believe that?
Yes, I was there.
We were there, and you can see here, this is actually from day 2 from the view of the top of the dealer's hall, top of the exhibit hall staircase in South Hall. And these are just kind of like the sea of people there. This is just a quick snapshot of some of the crowds we'll be looking at on Convention Tea. It's very surprising. So with Anime Expo, with us locals, because we're local to Anime Expo, biggest anime convention in the world. Mm-hmm. Usually for us locals, it's like, okay, oh yeah, Anime Expo. Oh, it's this weekend? I guess we're going, right? Okay. That's usually the malaise that has been brought on to like a lot of locals with Anime Expo. And usually there is something about Anime Expo that still compels us to still attend regardless.
Because, yeah, if you're down in Southern California, it's surprisingly a bit of a hassle. LA Convention Center is not the easiest place to get to. Its parking fills up very fast, and if you don't get into that parking, you're going to get screwed on your price really fast.
We're talking about $50 a day parking at some of these lots here. And the last time we were at the LA Convention Center was for LA Comic Con, and we just ended up just taking Uber back and forth, and that just saved us a lot of our mental trouble getting parking and getting in and out of the LA Convention Center. But you know what? This year, well, before we get into that, let's give a shout out to one of our sponsors, Mirarosol. Mirarosol, they actually created our online avatars here. Maybe one day we'll get like ping tubes of us just talking about conventions, but for now, we really appreciate the work that Mirarosol has done for our Scarlet Rhapsody staff. You can follow them over at Mirarosol on Twitter, and you can see their card.co information on here. I highly recommend them if you're looking for a customized avatar, customized banner, customize profile photo. They do some really cute artsy work here, so highly recommend supporting all artists. All right. Also for Anime Expo 23, we've also brought in some cosplays, and we also had some events that we were committed to. I was actually invited to do a panel on shopping at the LA Fabric District. I did that panel last year, and I also updated some information on that panel for this year's version. You can see me here. I'm cosplaying as Nero because Anime Expo, they have a huge Fate Grand Order presence, and it is one of the biggest presence of the Fate Grand Order fandom, the Fate series, Type Moon, and so forth in the United States. So that's one of the other reasons that even though really, Anime Expo? Oh, but they got the Fate stuff there. They had the fake Kigurumi characters there. Oh, I kind of need to go.
We have silly pictures of us with.
And then also in the middle here, we have you cosplaying as Walt Disney with American Goku. Tell us more about the context of this photo.
So I came to go and do A Extreme Rules show for Cosplay Wrestling Federation. And this is my first big show with Walt Disney. I did him last year at PMX. He always gets a very, very negative response from the audience. The audience was so loud and so ruckus that I actually had difficulty even going forward with my promo.
We'll talk more about that later. But the point is, one of the things that motivated you to attend Anime Expo was partaking in Cosplay Wrestling Federation. And also right there, we have a photo of you cosplaying as Duo.
Yeah, I did that last year, but now we got like a nice hat and tail.
All right, next slide. And also, every year we always stay at the Biltmore Hotel. This is our favorite hotel to stay at. It's fairly quiet. We don't really like going to the party hotels, but we'd rather just kind of like be, if we're going to go to downtown LA, we're going to do it in style. So, right here, believe it or not, is a screenshot from the Oppenheimer trailer. So in the Oppenheimer trailer, there's like the scene and just kind of like blink and you'll miss it. I believe that's Matt Damon in this shot here. And this is the exact same place where I did my Yohane photos. I did my Yohane TikTok video here, and I did some Yohane cosplay shoots like right in this area where Matt Damon is standing. So one of the reasons why I love staying at the Biltmore Hotel, it's like been used for so many Hollywood movies, like not even just like movies, but also music videos as well. I was cosplaying as Miyaka on the third day of Anime Expo, and I decided to just recreate her delicate video as best as I could, because you don't want to disrupt guests too much, because it's basically, I love the concept of the music video. It's Taylor Swift, just forget fame. I'm just going to be myself and just be silly at this fancy hotel. And that's very on brand for Miyaka too, especially if you've seen the wackiness that is Shugi Yuki. So I ended up just kind of frolicking around the Biltmore like Miyaka for TikTok. And I love the song. I love the music video. And yeah, Biltmore Hotel, always had a pleasant stay here. This is our third time staying at the Biltmore Hotel for Anime Expo. The shuttle stop is right across the street. Didn't really have to wait too long to get to the shuttle, to wait for the shuttle. And there's also a Starbucks right down the street if you want to just grab a quick breakfast. And the older I get, the more I just kind of want to stay at a quieter hotel. I just kind of want to just rest up for the night. And plus, you also have a couple of industry folks just staying at the hotel too, because I think I saw a couple of NIS suits also staying at the Biltmore too. All right. One of my favorite things to talk about on Convention Tea are what are the popular fandoms that were at the cons that we went to. So for Anime Expo, my personal observations, I saw a lot of Chainsaw Man people cosplaying. You can see here 2 kiddos were cosplaying as Denji. I thought was adorable. Yeah, it's sometimes like, oh my god, that's so adorable. Wait, you guys don't really watch Chainsaw Man, right?
Yeah, don't show your kids Chainsaw Man until they're a little bit older.
Yeah. And then also we had a lot of Twisted Wonderland cosplayers. So there was a huge Twisted Wonderland presence because they had Aniplex. You also had like the voice actors from Twisted Wonderland doing their panel, like I believe it was on Sunday morning, the same day we were cosplaying as Walt Disney. So you also had like a huge presence of Twisted Wonderland cosplayers. I wanted to cosplay as Azul during the Twisted Wonderland day, but because of cosplay scheduling, okay, might not be great, because usually for Anime Expo, I like to stick with one costume a day. I wouldn't say that Anime Expo, like roaming around the halls, it's not the most cosplay friendly place. So I always just wear like my lower key cosplays, like the ones I feel like more comfortable, like navigating, sitting down in. So I don't do anything too complicated for Anime Expo. And with a costume like Azul, it's just like a 3-piece suit plus trench coat.
Yeah.
No thank you in that LA weather and within that crowd, because when you have a crowded convention center like that with so many people, things are going to heat up, and that's not pretty. And also Genshin Impact. And what I love about the Genshin Impact cosplayers is every now and then you'll see folks cosplaying as the Primo Gems. And I had to get a photo of this kiddo cosplaying as a Primo Gem. I just thought it was just adorable, just like seeing folks just running around when the Primo Gem outfits.
Yeah.
Like, yes, game currency just running around. Also, another thing I like to highlight are flashback fandoms. So for Anime Expo, while I also did cosplay as Miyaka from Shishigi Yuki, one of my dream costumes, that has been on my queue since the year 2000, we also had some flashback fandoms here. So I was happy to see not one but 2 shampoo cosplayers, and this is one of the 2 shampoo cosplayers I've seen. I also saw not one but 3 Utena cosplayers.
Yeah, that was a surprise,
on
actually.
day 3, which made me very happy. And I was just telling like, yeah, Utena, it's one of my dream cosplays to remake. Utena is like one of the first cosplays I've ever done. It was actually commissioned by Setsuna Co. And if you know that name, you deserve a veterans discount at an anime convention. Setsuna Co. made my Utena cosplay, and now I want to make my own version of the duelist uniform. And then you also have like Fooly Cooly cosplayers here. And the Nauta you see in this photo is actually the new English voice actor for Shinji. And they do such an amazing job as Shinji. And I didn't know it was the voice actor for Shinji here. But yeah, mad props to them, because they were just like one of my favorite parts of the new dub, because I just felt they really captured the nuance of depression. I really felt they really captured the essence of Megami Ogata. And yeah, like if you're listening to this, Casey, amazing job. Keep doing what you do. All right. Our next shout out we like to give out is Cosplay Wrestling Federation. Jay, tell us more about this organization.
So Cosplay Wrestling Federation is a audience participation comedy show based around pro wrestling promos and things like that, although occasionally chairs will be swung. General concept is various characters from anime, manga, comics, sometimes OCs, real life people, because I went as Walt Disney and someone else has gone as Billy Mays.
Billy Mays here.
End up, basically dropping promos, getting boos or cheers from the audience, and eventually going up against the champion for the belt. In addition to that, there's also secondary shows where we do tag team matches or the 24/7 Scramble, which is probably my new favorite event, where everyone does super quick promos to defeat each other to see, as a timer clock is going down, who gets to own the 24/7 belt. Overall, it's a really fun thing. You don't have to know anything about wrestling to go to the show. If you do know wrestling, you will find a lot of references in there, from both the modern age and even from older times. And if you don't know anything about wrestling, you'll figure out how it works, because people are going to cheer, people are going to yell, people are going to have the various chants like "this is awesome" or "you suck" or whatever, and you will just get into it super quick. I've known plenty of people who just never really saw wrestling before, went to one of these shows and loved it. I really do recommend it. If it's at a con, check it out. And if you're a con staff person and you want us to show up, please go to the Facebook page and contact the leadership so that we can show up at that con.
Awesome stuff. All right, let's go into day one. So you and I decided to roll up on day one. We dropped off our things at the Biltmore Hotel.
Yep.
And then because we were panelists, we do get a comp badge. We do get a comp regular 4-day attendee badge.
Which means we still need to stand in the regular line.
So the line you see here, these are folks who already got their badges because AX, they do a thing where like if you register early enough, you can get your badges mailed to you. And
that'd be nice.
Yeah, but unfortunately, because we're panelists, we get the notification sometime in mid to late May, meaning we are past that cutoff.
Mm-hmm.
So right here is you see the lines going inside to the convention center. And these are the lines, they go all the way up to the crypto.com arena. It feels weird saying crypto.com arena.
Yeah, I don't like it either.
Yeah, it's still Staples Center to me. So and then you can also see here the day one crowds. So you and I, let's talk about just getting through the registration line. Because we rarely talk about getting through regular registration in these shows. Because normally we're press, but this year, okay, they're giving us comp badges for being panelists.
Well, the one thing is that I was hoping, because I think we got there around 11. Mm-hmm. I was hoping, hey, by 11, it'll probably have calmed down. A whole load of people showing up at 8 o'clock. By 3 hours later, surely, we will have an easier... No.
And it was a 90-minute wait. And the reason why it was a 90-minute wait is they were also doing badge activation. Badge activation is like, okay, you get your badge, but you still have to activate activate your badge. So you have to kind of go through these steps. The first, last name, just make sure that badge is associated to you. So when you tap in and tap out, your identification credentials aren't there. In the past badges, they would have like your name or fan name, your nickname, username, whatever on there. But this one, because it's all digital, it's for the tap in, tap out system to make sure it belongs to you.
Which is nice. I mean, the tap in, tap out system means you don't have to flash your badge every 5 seconds, which is generally useful. And it is used by, I believe, both WonderCon and San Diego Comic-Con, except for the getting my badge process at both those cons significantly more streamlined than this.
And I don't think you had to do badge activation for the San Diego Comic-Con events.
I don't remember it.
I don't remember either, but for Anime Expo, and I know for D23, you have to do an activation process. Now, with D23, they were able to mail us our badges on time because we're regular attendees at D23. Mm-hmm. For this one, for activation, it was just an extra step, and I did notice that, there were only 2 people to a window. And while they did have, people on registration staff, I think that's what slowed the line down because I know it's with them, a lot of times it was a stop and go. Because in the past, when I used to stand in the line as a regular attendee, and when I used to stand in line as a regular attendee, I was like, okay, at least the line is moving. But there's a lot of stop and go. And I think it was just people just doing the activation step as they were at the kiosk, and that can take a while.
Yeah, so it depended how long. So someone got in quick and just was able to just get the information done, then it moves forward. Someone just has trouble because their phone's not connecting right or what have you, any number of other issues that could happen. Slows the line down immensely.
And the sun was starting to beat down on us, and I was making a joke to myself, I should just get a photo of people just wearing silly things on their head or what they're doing to create shade, because I saw folks just use their jackets to just cover, just give themselves some shade, because there's no shade in that zone. And honestly, I would appreciate it if someone was selling water in line. It's dang, I could go for a nice cold bottled water.
They did, however, have the porta-johns right near the line, which at least was something. Mm-hmm. But even just had they put an extra tent there, or whatever you call those things, the awning things, over there so we didn't get just sun blasted, it would have been fine. I nearly passed out. I heard other people did. So,
yeah,
fun times.
We ended up finding the ADA line. And my other feedback for the ADA line is I wish you also got the ADA sticker right then and there without having to go all the way to the info desk to get the ADA sticker.
Yeah.
Which makes sense, getting the ADA sticker at the booth, but do go on.
If it's going to be the line for ADA people, then you should be able to go there, get your badge, have assistance with activation if necessary, and get the sticker all in one step. Because there are mobility people who have issues like that. I saw multiple people with wheelchairs, what have you, in the line. Of my visual impairment, I can have mobility issues. I definitely have reading the screen and putting information in issues. And so, because of this, if they need to be able to understand the difficulties that people in this category might have and be able to solve it better. I'm lucky there were at least seats for those of us who were about to pass out. That was nice. And those who had difficulty standing up for extended periods of time. But, we need a bit more than that. And the fact that this isn't streamlined is mind-boggling.
Yeah, and then after that, we ended up going into the ADA line, go through the security, and then we ended up in West Hall. And Jay, what was it like being sardined in?
I was not particularly fond of it. I again, because when you have a bunch of humans together, you're just going to build up heat. So the whole place just felt like a furnace. I was already on that edge of passing out from being out in the sun for several hours, for a little under 2 hours. And then going into there did not help. And I was multiple times where I was like weak in the knees because my body was like, I can't take this level of heat. I'm going to pass out.
And I think we just kind of had we had to go on the concourse level to have to get a sit zone for a while to just kind of like just chill from all that.
People watched. It was fun.
What was people watching like?
Not bad. I got to see some costumes. Got to see some Dragon Ball people pass. Lots of One Pieces. The occasional Demon Slayer people. It was great.
Yeah, also, while you were just kind of like people watching, I decided to just kind of like just conderlust around. So it surprised me that like, wait, why does McDonald's have a booth here? And then like I was over in South Hall, like, oh, it's a webtoon type thing where they have like a McDonald's like webcomic that's very anime inspired. And of course, you see Grimachi up there, like an inflatable Grimachi. And then like day 4, like I showed you the McDonald's booth, and you and I were like, oh my god, like we could go for some. At the end of the con, like, oh my god,
I wanted fries and a milkshake so bad.
End of the con, I was like, okay, I mean, right now McDonald's is like the last thing I want, but like at the end of the con, like, milkshake and fries, like, do they have these here? Because I will gladly take some milkshake and fries.
It's that whole you're completely exhausted and your body craves junk food over like real food.
So like after that, like we ended up just going back to my parents' house on the last day, and we ended up getting the Grimachi shake.
Yeah.
What did it taste like, Jay?
Blueberries to me, and apparently most West Coast people say it tastes like berries, and then people out east say it tastes like cake. So we have no idea what flavor it really is.
All right.
It is just Grimace flavored. Deal with it.
All right. It's also, as I was also conderlusting, I just ended up just kind of like just perusing through the dealer's hall. Just so I know where things are, because I know you have your favorite booths, and I just kind of want to just know where things are and just kind of like, okay, is there anything I want, any exclusives I want? Because one of the things that pull us into Anime Expo is, okay, what industry folks are usually there that normally don't show up at all the cons? Like Bandai Namco is there, and they usually sell Love Live stuff, and Love Live is still one of my major fandoms, among others as well. And like here you have like one of the booths have a life-size, I guess you know Naruto lore more than I do. They have like the legendary nine-tailed fox, a life-size statue.
Well, it wouldn't be life-size because I think it was as large as like the building itself. But it's a very large one. It's a huge statue, and if you were a fourth Hokage or Naruto cosplayer, it'd be really cool for a photo.
Also, this is just kind of give you a visual of like just how crowded and how like sardine in you were on day 1 in the dealer's hall. So this is like the thoroughfare with Crunchyroll and Bandai Namco. And one of the things that was just kind of keeping me sane was, again, I mentioned I'm a Love Live fan. And then there's a new Love Live anime about Yohane, and she's like in this fantasy world. And in the first episode, she sings a song called Far, Far Away. And sometimes, like, when you're kind of, like, under, like, anxious anxiety mode, you need something to ground you. Far, Far Away kind of has become, like, my grounding song through Anime Expo. It was, like, the song that was keeping me sane, the song that was just kind of keeping me at a calm state of mind, and I just kind of just use that as grounding. Anytime I just kind of felt anxious, like, within the area, like, oh, yeah, it's a Yohane song. Still need to watch episode 2. Also, just one of my favorite things, like just kind of like just browsing through the dealer's hall, is I believe this is by Bandai Namco. Yes, it's by Bandai. And this is like their cats They're Naruto's.
Yep. They have a theme line of blind box toys that are cat versions of popular franchises. I believe they began with Naruto, and then later on they added in the Nyandam, which
And
is
Sailor Munes.
and Sailor Munes. So they all have cat pun names, and you can get little figures. And I guess the Sailor Moons weren't selling well because they had a sign on day 4 that like knocked down the group price drastically.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm like, oh, I'm tempted, but like, I'm here more for Gundam than I am for Sailor Moon. Also, Army of Anya plushes here for those of you who love Anya. I just love our multiple expressions here. Also, one of my favorite things here was the giant Love Live Nessa berries. And like, oh my god, I was just very tempted to like take home Setsuna, but like, do I have room for Setsuna?
The answer is no. I also like the fact that there's a sign that says "Do not touch" as they started reaching for one of them, and
You just grab your hand.
You grab my hand, and lady points to sign, and I'm like, oh, sorry.
You just want to pet them on the
I just
head.
wanted to pat them on the head.
Because I know, like, anytime you see those giant Nissa berries, Jay, you're like, oh my god, like, it's huge.
Must provide head pats.
And I'm like, oh my god, I kind of want one, but I don't have room for one.
Even if we had a larger house, it would still take up way too much room.
Okay, it's officially the cat bed.
Yeah.
Also, just a couple of other booths here. Like, you had Hot Topic. Hot Topic, why are you here? And then also Bushy Road.
Hot Topic has a whole bunch of anime shirts and stuff like that.
True that. But I have issues with Hot Topic at the con.
Well, their attitude wasn't great.
Yeah, TLDR, they're like, oh, you have to have a special pass to enter our booth. And I'm like, hi, Hot Topic. The last time I was at your store, you were playing Nickelback. Don't think you're so hot.
I also feel like that happened at like a WonderCon or something else. Some other con we went to where they had a booth. Maybe it was probably LA Comic Con where they had the same thing. And we're like,
No, LA Comic Con, they were pretty chill because they let me take photos as Azul.
Okay.
They was like, yeah, just come in and take photos. Like,
There
they
was
were chill at LA Comic Con.
There was another con where they had like the whole you need the special ticket or pass, and I was like, why? You guys are a clothing store that's well past their prime.
And like, yeah, I better see like if you're gonna make this exclusive, I better see like My Melody and Kuromi here, like just with like giant fire things here. Because I remember back in the day when like Hot Topic, it was like the gateway to hell, and you had like all the fire.
The fire theming, yeah.
I better.
They were like metal.
Yeah, I better see like a metal version of like Kuromi and My Melody with like just fire all around. Like just give it like the whole like Rammstein kind of vibe to it.
Or if you're gonna do a bunch of Sanrio stuff, you better have some Agretzko stuff.
Right?
Because metal, come on. It's her whole shtick.
You also had the Bushy Road booth here too. They were also sampling School Idol Festival Part 2, and it will be getting a English release. They say hopefully sometime later this year, early next year, and they were just demoing that out. I was very tempted to give it a try, but there was a bit of a line, but I was able to see what the gameplay looked like, and I'm actually looking forward to School Idol Festival 2, because School Idol Festival Part 1, that was like my intro to mobile games. And I don't know, I just have a huge nostalgia for it, and I'm just very much looking forward to streaming the next iteration of School Idol Festival on my channel. Also, day one, I decided to just venture out into the Artist Alley, aka Kensha Hall. I vowed to, I will only do this for one day, and I will only just go in, I'll go out. So I don't have a lot of photos of Artist Alley here because there was a strict like no photos in the zone, but I wanted to just capture some vibes. Yes,
that.
I just want to just capture like the vibes of Artist Alley. So you the photo on the left, this is just kind of like just people just hanging outside of Kensha Hall, just chilling or just getting in and out of Artist Alley. And then the photo on the right is Artist Alley itself, and just here you just kind of have people just kind of like just walking through the halls. Usually Artist Alley, I usually don't like going through Artist Alley because like it's just way too crowded, and I just kind of have to like just tap out of that. But I did check out the Annex. The Annex is a section of Kensha Hall which specializes in J fashion, and I actually picked up a dress from Miss Candy Holic. Miss Candy Holic is a designer that I follow on Instagram, and they kind of the best way I can describe their fashion is soft girl style. They have a lot of pastels, a lot of kawaii fashion, and this dress I have, it combines like soft girl and cottagecore. So it's this pastel gingham dress. A lot of my friends have said like, oh yeah, that reminds me of Dorothy from Wizard of Oz. Like, yeah, it kind of does. But ended up just picking up that dress because I've been eyeing that dress for a while. It's like, okay, shout out to Miss Candy Hollick, love your stuff. And they also had a couple of Goth Lolita designers out there. They also had like some other Fairy K. They had like a lot of like modern, like hip hop inspired anime fashion out there. So like I like the variety of like just seeing like just different interpretations of like combining anime and Japanese culture, K-pop culture within modern fashion. So I like that it wasn't just like one thing, because normally anytime I see a fashion section at a convention, it's very much focused on a particular aesthetic, whether it's a Lolita or just Japanese street fashion alone. But I like how they just combine like just different styles, and they all were just vending here. And definitely the annex has really expanded since it first began a couple years ago. And I just always just like seeing all these new designers just pop up and just seeing what they have to offer. But because I had a bad experience at Arts Alley last year with the CO2 levels, I didn't want to risk being there too long. So it was just a quick perusing of the area. And I also didn't want to take any risk getting autographs from people, because that was also the autograph zone. I didn't want to be there too long. So I also passed, no pun intended, I passed on autographs.
One thing I'll say is because of the room that it's in, it doesn't have the best ventilation. And so it can get very stuffy in there. The air itself can feel gross and stagnant. And as she said, the CO2 levels rise up pretty high. And if you breathe in too much CO2, you will pass out. Technically, you could die, but you probably wouldn't die in a place like this. It'd probably be more of a pass out. But either way, not a fun experience. I feel sorry for all the artists who have to deal with that. And the fact that the guests had to deal with it too is messed up.
Yeah, it looks like there wasn't any like CO2 issues this year, which is good. But last year it was pretty bad, and it also soured me from going back seeing from Arts Alley for too long. And still at the same time, I don't want to risk it next year either. But that's just kind of my feeling on it, because like last year I had a really bad experience. This year, like, okay, I was fine, but I still don't want to take that risk either, because so many people just go into Artist Alley. And don't get me wrong, AX brings in a lot of amazing artists out there. Mm-hmm. And I just decided to just ask on Twitter, like, hey, if you're an artist at Artist Alley, I'm looking for these following fandoms. If you do art, acrylic charms of these fandoms, please let me know. I would love to come to your booth. Okay, yeah, more day one crowd shots here. Also day one, that's when we also did our panel on the LA Fabric District. I want to say we had a pretty good turnout.
Oh, yeah.
And I was all like, and then the person who's in charge of the room, in charge of line, it's like, hey, let us know when you want folks to come up. I'm like, yeah, bring them in early. Just give them a place to sit so they don't have to sit out in the sun. So I'm like, okay, yeah, just have them come up in early. And I was just kind of like this, okay, well, people are waiting. Let me entertain you with some AX stories of past AXs. And I also think that also gave some inspo and motivation to start pitching our like convention stories panel to future cons. But yeah,
we need to bring that back.
Yes, but I'm really glad for our turnout for our shopping at the LA Fabric District panel. Thank you to everyone who showed up. Hope y'all got something out of it. Really appreciate all of y'all just sticking around for that. And also we had the entertainment hall, so we just kind of like, let's just walk around the entertainment hall for a little bit. This is also where you had tabletop gaming. Honestly, I think tabletop gaming and e-gaming should be like in a separate like ballroom, like over at the JW Marriott, because like when you have like so much noise going on, it's just really hard to focus, especially if you're like playing like a tabletop game or anything in general.
I have no idea how people could, like, at least if you're playing Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Pokemon or something like that, at least you can see what the cards are and be able to kind of work with that. But in games where you need to have more communication between the players, yeah, good luck.
Yeah, it looks like they weren't like they were like actively recruiting for like D&D type things or like Bezin type things here.
Do that kind of tabletop here. It's mostly just card games.
Yeah, it's just card games, board games, and you can like just rent out like a board game type thing and then like just like sit around with friends here. But I just honestly just kind of feel that tabletop and e-gaming should be in a separate place other than the entertainment hall, because I like that the entertainment hall is really expanding, but I just kind of feel like we just need to start like moving a lot of these other pieces in their own ballroom. Other just day one stuff here. I do appreciate the fact that I did see like a Saban Moon group complete with Sailor Mercury in the wheelchair. I thought this was hilarious. And they also had the Mr. Bigglesworth, the fluffy version of Luna. I did appreciate that. And also day one, we just went to the food truck zone. We went to the salt and pepper food truck. And they had some pretty amazing fries.
Yeah.
Yeah, also day one, they also had the Genshin Impact ice cream truck. And I thought that was pretty cool. I didn't order ice cream for the Genshin ice cream truck because the line was pretty long, but I was very amused by seeing
every day, yeah.
Yeah, it was busy, like even in the evening. Like it was pretty busy. But yeah, ice cream plus summer in Southern California, I feel like you can't go wrong. Even though I thought, yeah, the flavors are pretty generic, but I kind of regret not trying one. Leeway is my town in Genshin. It's my favorite. I know you're more of an Inazuma person.
Yep.
So yeah, they had the Genshin food truck there. But yeah, salt and pepper, that was an amazing truck.
Yeah, that was
Irish nachos. Yes.
When we saw it, we were like, we have to have those.
Yes, Irish nachos, and that was great, and I appreciated that.
For our East Coast friends, that's the West Coast term for pub fries.
So I'm just trying to think, anything else we did on day... Oh, yeah. We attempted to do the Fate screening for Fate Strange Fate, because that's the one Fate series that I'm excited about. But the room was already at capacity, and like to line up, I probably would have needed to line up at the time I was running my panel.
Yeah.
Also during my panel, that's when they had the Yohane voice actress panel. So a lot of things I wanted to do just kind of like were just slammed at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And that just, it made me sad, but I also accepted like, okay, it is what it is. There's a lot more things to do at Anime Expo. And it's going to, Strange Fate will be streaming eventually. And it's not the end of the world. But it was just like, I feel it's, when I do AX, I feel it's not AX unless I also catch a premiere too. Because AX is huge for like premieres of like, yeah, new anime, here's the premiere.
Yeah.
And like, dang, kind of missed out on that. It's more like, not the end of the world, but like, sigh,
Mm-hmm.
All right. Before we go on to day two, let me tell you about multitasky.com. Multitasky.com is an office supplies web service store where you can order things like this light ring that I use for my self shoots. You know what? I really don't schedule time with photographers at Anime Expo because we'll talk more about like why I don't really think Anime Expo is the most photogenic spot for cosplays, but the hotel we stay at is a pretty good place for cosplay photos. So I usually just take my light ring and just shoot here at my hotel. So if you would like a light ring or just any type of femme office supplies, you can use our Cadillac Cats code. Use our code Cadillac Cats for 10% off your order on multitasky.com. Day two. Yeah, day two was just as crowded as day one.
Yeah.
Like, even Mr. Panda here is like, this crowd.
Yeah, day one and day two are Saturday and Sunday, which are crazy busy days just at any con, and at Expo it just makes it worse. And strangely enough, 3 and 4 were actually pretty tame.
Yeah, very tame. And you can still see that the crowds are very clear and present here. So for day two, you decide to just chill in the hotel room because, day one was overwhelming.
And I needed to do CWF later in the night, so I needed to just kind of be in a better headspace.
Mm-hmm. Also here on day two, we also have, this is like more crowds here, just kind of give you an idea on just how crowded day two is. This is South Hall. Also on day two, another thing like you and I can talk about is Ichiban Market. Ichiban Market, hands down, is my favorite thing, our favorite thing about Anime Expo 2023.
Oh yeah, easily.
It's easy to criticize Anime Expo, but let's talk about the good sides of Anime Expo 2023. Ichiban Market is a step in the right direction. Last year, they had something called Hypeland in this zone, which we really didn't like. Okay,
Nobody liked.
Yeah, it was, I don't know, I just didn't really vibe with it. But you have this food market. It's almost like a night market kind of setup here. And they have like Japanese, like East Asian fusion food present here. You can get baos, you can get skewers, you can get takoyaki, musubi. Okamoto Kitchen had a secondary booth here. You can also try different Japanese beers. The boba line was pretty poppin'. Yeah, you can see the boba line here.
Yeah.
And you have like just some of the lanterns here. It looks really nice when it's lit up at night. You and I went here like during dusk, which in our opinion is like the best time to go.
Yeah.
And like just kind of like just pop open a cold beer or like a watermelon juice. And it's like yeah, you can just kind of like just enjoy just some summer vibes. And you can also just enjoy some Japanese lo-fi beats here too.
Yeah, which is a really good choice because it makes it so relaxing.
It's better than like playing like loud top 40 stuff that just blares in your ear. But I don't know, just something about lo-fi that just kind of puts you in a good mood.
Yes.
Like you're just enjoying your takoyaki, you're like listening to lo-fi, you're enjoying a nice cold one. Yeah. I mean, I really like the vibe of this zone, and I really hope they bring Ichiban Market back because this was, in my opinion, step in the right direction. And I just do appreciate the variety of food here. Hopefully, maybe next year we can get some more tables, some more shade, and just also just kind of like maybe a couple more food vendors here. But again, step in the right direction. What was your favorite thing about Ichiban Market? What was your favorite piece of food, you foodie?
I actually really like the skewers.
Yeah, Shinsengumi.
They're very simple, but they were good.
Yeah, Shinsengumi, they had Wagyu beef skewers, which was my favorite snack of the day. And you had the pork belly skewers.
I just needed something that was like simple because my stomach was nervous because, going into CWF.
And would you say they're pretty comparable to Bengal barbecue over at Disney?
They were different, but I really liked them a lot. Actually, gave me quite a bit of meat on the stick.
Yeah. If they're like at 626 Night Market, like I wouldn't mind like getting another thing of Wagyu beef because so good, so good, so good. Yeah, just a couple of just Genshin cosplayers here just hanging out because, like I said, Genshin was a very popular fandom at this convention. MiHoYo even had a booth for Honkai Star Rail for those of y'all who are playing Honkai Star Rail. And the Genshin, there's also a separate Genshin booth in the entertainment hall too. Also, speaking of entertainment hall, I decided to peruse through the entertainment hall on the day that the voice actress for Yohane had her autograph signing. And this is how crowded it was here because the Love Live booth was in the entertainment hall. And then, of course, you had like a lot of the Love Live otaku people just kind of like just surrounding this booth. Like, yeah, I wish I got the ticket to get the autograph and to do like a meet and greet handshake type thing. But alas, I couldn't because, like, again, her panel is the same time as my panel. And apparently, like, she also showed it at the Bandai Namco Games panel. Like, I wish I had known. Would have been awesome, but it's okay. At least I got to see her from a distance here. Also, this was the line for the Fate panel.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
this is for the Grand Order panel, which had the voice of MASH and the voice of Saber.
Among others, too.
Amongst others, I think.
Yeah, they always bring in the voice actress for Saber, and I know the voice actress for MASH, she's done a couple of Aniplex productions, so it's like she can double dip with like various Aniplex productions here. But yeah, the Fate Grand Order line is historically always been long and historically has been capped off. And normally you and I usually try to catch that panel, but because it was so close to Cosplay Wrestling Federation and it was more important to eat, we just decided to just people watch.
Well,
watch
when
the
the line
line.
gets like that, I just go forget it. Last thing I want to do is be, in that line, and be told, nope, we're done. I go, but I'm still, and that's happened to me before, and I am not a huge fan of that. So I'd rather just skip it and do other stuff that means something.
Yeah, other things that mean something to you. We had more time to roam around the entertainment hall to kill some time, and as a change from previous years, the NIS booth was at the entertainment hall. Do tell us some about the NIS booth.
Well, they had a little a stamp rally thing going on.
That was fun.
Which was fun. It made you have to go look at certain things, check out the new video games, which then I found out they're making a Rhapsody collection. Which has 2 and 3, which I didn't even know there was a 2 and 3. But I was having a lot of fun playing that. I think I was going backwards on the map because I found a treasure chest that was already opened. I'm like, oops, I went the wrong direction. Whatever. I was just messing around using the various puppets and the magic and stuff. I didn't really care about, progressing in the plot on a game I'll eventually play. Amongst a few other games in there, they were also showing off, I think, Disguise 7, which looks pretty good. And then we were also taking a look at the merch and event, and I had to. Day two, there was a few things I wanted, but then on day three, several things sold out, including the pint glasses, which hurt me, and the fat prinny hurt me as well. So ended up having to go with my secondary choices, which I do not regret. I got the Prinny Red Moon shirt, so that's kind of cool. It's my only Prinny shirt I have. I don't get a lot of like franchise-related shirts, so this is one of my very few that I have. And I got the Flan doll, which is hyper adorable. It is her fallen angel form, so she has her adorable little tail and her little horns. And then I got the Prinny tote bag, which actually has a zipper section and two other secondary sections. So it actually has sections within the bag if you want to put certain items there that are smaller or what have you, or you want to make sure your wallet is separated from everything else in the bag, because sometimes searching around for your wallet at the very bottom of a tote is a pain. So very happy with what I got. Really, really wanted those 20th anniversary pint glasses, but that's okay. Overall, I really like the booth. I like the fact that they moved it into the entertainment hall, so I don't have to like roam the dealer hall trying to find the NIS booth. I can just kind of get there and get my Prinny fix. Oh, they also have the giant Prinny to take a photo with, which there should be one or two photos of me with that Prinny. Overall, like, I'm just glad NIS shows up. This is like their only con. I think they might do one other con up north. I'm not certain, like MagWest or something. But other than that, as far as I know, this is like their one big con for stuff. And
It's our motivation to go to AX. It's like, AX, but NIS is going to be there. Yes.
And they also, if you are cosplaying from any of their games, they will take photos of you and put it on their social media stuff. Because I saw someone in a Prinny costume who actually had the little sword thingy, little mini, those short swords that the Prinnies use in their standard attack. I have a Prinny bound, but I did not ever get my photo taken by them. I wore that years ago, back when bounding wasn't really as known. And I think if I bring it back, I'm gonna try to make either like a little bomb, because they have the little Prinny bombs. Think Looney Tunes big black circle bomb with the fuse, or the wash basin that they'll throw as a weapon as well, just to be sillier.
All right, and then we all stopped by the Love Live booth, and here's a photo of you with Canon, the cute one of the group. So is it Nico or Canon?
Canon.
And let's talk about AX Extreme Rules.
So this was a fun show. We only had 2 hours. We really couldn't mess around and have secondary things going on. But we got the curtain from Phantomania to be there, so we got to exit through the curtain. The room was really large, filled to capacity. That just shows you how popular this show really is. We had a lot of cool characters this time around. We had Luigi, we had Sonic, and we had the rivals, King Boo and Robotnik, in addition to Don Cornero, me as Walt Disney, Chris Redfield, which, yes, his promo does feature, or not the promo, the Titantron does feature him punching boulders, which is wonderful. Goodness, who else? Spicy Burrito, of course, had to make a return appearance. And a couple other people, I'm sorry. And of course, the field champion right now, Coach Connor.
Is that all you have to say to me?
So yeah, he is not particularly well liked. If you can, unfortunately, I believe the stream ended up getting cut off, which is unfortunate. But I think they're going to try to get the other footage from other people together to try to fill out the rest of it. But it was kind of a fun show. Definitely some craziness going on. Well, a few of us were kind of...
Well, you meant, as Disney, you meant Hayao Miyazaki.
Yes, and there was a person cosplaying Hayao Miyazaki, so we had this weird little moment with the two of us. The after show time just kept going, where everyone is yelling and screaming and cheering for stuff, so that was a lot of fun too. The audience was really, really energetic, as that clip shows. They were kind of ready for some CWF action. They wanted to yell. They wanted to vent some of that frustration that comes with the con. And you could tell, because, man, as Disney, I could not get a word in edgewise because the audience was just constantly yelling at me. So that was a thing. That was a new experience. I've never had the audience be that, worked up. Overall, it was generally a fun show. and everyone seemed to really like it. And the huge chunk of the audience, like I said, just stayed outside the room and wanted photos of all the various wrestlers. And everyone was having a generally good time. In fact, we didn't get back to our hotel until super late.
Yeah, we're gonna get back until like almost 11:50 in the evening, and even then the bar was closed. Like, you know what? Like, it's been quite a night. Let's just go to the bar and get some nightcaps. But sadly, because it's Sunday, the bar closes earlier.
Yeah, that hurt. It's a holiday weekend. It should have stayed open longer.
Some more photos of the after show. Some photos of our wrestler folks here.
Everyone I skipped is like, I hate you, bro. Especially because I roomed with Mace Hughes. So, I probably should have mentioned him.
Yeah, we got some really amazing people on CWF, and I look forward to the day where I actually debut on a main show. Also have to figure that one out.
Yep. Got to make sure we get the right song and the right attitude.
All right.
Hey, I know these people.
Yeah, tell us about Magic Candle Company.
So I was dressed like Walt Disney, but what say you love the smells of Disneyland or Disney World? Well, you can go to the Magic Candle Company. They have candles based on your favorite theme park scents. Everything from pirate water to ice cream and everything in between there. And not only do they have candles, but they have like room sprays, little car deodorizer stuff. So you can get in your car and smell like you're on Pirates of the Caribbean, or like someone over here who smells like the Avatar in her car. Avatar lands. Generally a cool place. They also have some stuff based on Universal parks. That's why my favorite scent is Extraterrestrial Forest, because it reminds me of one of the last good times I had with my dad before his passing. So it is definitely a great place to check these things out, and you can get a discount with our code, which is EAT15, I believe.
Yes, it is EAT15, as seen here.
As seen there on the information thing. I can read, I promise.
All right, day 3. So day 3, it was like the start of the Los Angeles Southland hotel strike.
Oh my God, yeah, it was.
Okay, I'll just be brief about this because I kind of feel like there's some context. This kind of added some context to the weekend. Normally I kind of like leave politics out of these streams, but because we were staying at the hotel, we were staying at a hotel that had like a lot of folks picketing in front of it. We were kind of woken up at 5 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
And mind you, we didn't get into bed until like 2 a.m. because like we were still kind of like riding off the energy of CWF, and we were just kind of like, sometimes you just got to ease in to go get some sleep. We didn't get any sleep till like 2 a.m. And then I was wide awake at 5 a.m. and it's like, okay, like, let me go down to Starbucks. Let me just grab something. Maybe this, like, let me just kind of like, maybe I can like just pull off a day here. And then, there was a lot more protesting when you got closer to JW Marriott and the Marriott Courtyard.
Oh yeah.
And they were loud and they were out there. Just wanted to point that out. And I did hear about the hotel strike going on prior to the convention. There's a lot of word that was just kind of floating online, and I didn't want to take the risk. So because you and we stayed at the Fairmont.
And they had their strike.
Yeah, this was like back at Fanime.
Back in 2019?
Yeah, right before the pandemic.
Something like
yeah,
that?
2019. And we weren't getting our toilet paper refilled. So just to play it safe, we brought our own towels. We brought our own towels, and we brought our own toilet paper just to play it safe.
Mm-hmm.
So just anytime like you hear something like this happens, just be prepared to like just bring your own things. Because when we had like the folks who are just taking over for hotel staff, the only thing that they were able to do was just to remove trash from the rooms, and that's about it.
We got towels one a day.
Mm-hmm. But luckily we just brought our own towels just to, again, play it safe. All right, and this is a day that you decide to roam around as Giyu.
Yep.
And that's you right by the Star Rail, the train from Honkai.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually quite surprised to see like Honkai cosplayers. I mostly saw like Kafka cosplayers, and I did see a Himeko cosplayer, and I did see a handful, not a lot. But I do anticipate that Honkai is going to be the new Genshin when it comes to cosplay takeovers.
I think it's just going to take time for people to find their favorite characters.
Yeah, because there's new characters just popping up like every couple of weeks or so. I mean, I just finally found my husbando in Honkai after like having one too many waifus. But yeah, it's kind of cool to have the train there. And you can also see here South Hall. Even though like it looks fairly crowded on day 3 here, I felt day 3, even though there were a lot of people, it was a much more manageable kind of crowd. So think about like LA Comic Con. It was an LA Comic Con kind of crowd. A lot of my friends were comparing this crowd to like say AX 2010, AX 2011. Like even though like there were still like a lot of people at Anime Expo, it was significantly less than day 1 and day 2. You just have a lot of people congregating in South Hall because this is pretty much like the cosplay photo zone. This is where like if you had a cosplay you wanted to show off, this is where people were recording videos or doing like just hall shoots. Normally when I take photos of cosplayers, I literally just kind of just take photos of them at the point where they're standing. I'm usually a person that's always on the go when I'm taking hall shots because I want to capture the cosplayer within the culture, within the vibe of the convention. So that's just usually how I work. And sometimes, like, yeah, I'll see some cosplayers here in South Hall I want to take photos of. But yeah, South Hall, still a pretty busy spot, yes. Mm-hmm. And the dealer's hall, this is like the first time you stepped into the dealer's hall.
Yeah, I waited for the crowds to calm down a bit.
Mm-hmm. And this is you petting like one of the therapy doggos.
Yeah.
There's a booth that sold like therapy plushies. I actually own one of them. I actually own a Siamese cat version of them. And they had like these stuffies where like if you hug them, it's kind of therapeutic. I like these. They're very soft.
It's just to help calm you down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I should have brought my I don't know, if I have a character that like carries around a fat Siamese cat, like I probably should carry that with me. All right, day 3, just come up some other vibes from day 3. Like I did mention, like in beginning of Convention T, like you had like a lot of flashback fandom. So you had the hair lady here and Inuyasha, Shura. Yeah, she's one of my favorite like characters in Inuyasha. I just love her aesthetic. And then like yeah, you have these folks there. You also had like this Anya cosplayer here. So I thought it was very creative, like how they interpreted Anya here, almost like Anya but Lego.
Yeah.
All right, day 3. Let's talk about like build that Pokédex.
So they have a lot of different games at Anime Expo, and the game shows are a lot of fun if you can get in. And thankfully, we were able to get in to build my Pokédex, which is essentially a game where they get people to do drawings of a made-up Pokemon. They'll take the best of those. Then essentially those get voted on, voted for, and they give them names, and it just goes step by step by step until it gets down to the 2 best. And then they basically have someone come up as the trainer and one person come up as the Pokemon to essentially yell out the name of an attack and then have them perform some sort of attack move. And this time around we got very odd entries.
Like Rizzler, as you can see here.
The Rizzler.
Not just Rizzler, but the Rizzler. And then you also had like, what was it, Dalton Bartholomew Cardby.
Yeah. Because this is what happens when you start cheering or responding to the various name options. And it was kind of fun. They had their group of people up there to be kind of the judges choosing like what wins and what doesn't. A lot of fun. If you're an artist, you can definitely, have a great way of kind of showing off some of your stuff. Or if you just want to just do something really, really silly, especially if you get chosen to choose the names or the attack moves and stuff like that. You can definitely have some fun times doing that.
All right. Yeah, just a couple more cosplayers just hanging out here over at the food truck zone. Also, we decided to, just on a whim, check out K-pop battles. I've never been to a K-pop battle event at any convention, and we're starting to see that K-pop is making their home at anime conventions, as there has been a lot of intersection with K-pop, video games, and anime.
I like the fact that the reason we checked this out, we were basically looking, just staring in the room, and there's like, our next person, from Boston. I'm like, now we got to support Boston. And we both went in to cheer for the Boston person.
And we just it's still a chill place to sit down. Like, there's plenty of seats available. And it also was a very cool room, too. And, we decided to stick around for the whole thing. And I was very impressed that we had a lot of entries that came up. We had about 17 entries that were up on stage. And they were, from all over North America. We had like
yeah.
someone from Canada, a group from Texas, you had a local from LA, you had folks from Sacramento. It was pretty wild, and I just really enjoyed just kind of like just the vibes and just seeing people perform. And this was also the event that introduced me to Dreamcatcher. So I've been listening to Vision on a loop on my drives because like it is a bop. So I just really just appreciate like just seeing like just all the different talent, because I'm not too familiar with a lot of K-pop dances, but I just kind of just appreciate just kind of like seeing like these are people from all over the country just giving their all to perform here at Anime Expo in Los Angeles for K-pop battles. So I thought it was just kind of neat to see. We didn't stick around for the awarding ceremony, but you know what? I just really appreciate like just anyone who's taking this time to go on stage and just perform and just give their all, because I thought each and every one of them that I saw just come up were having fun on stage, and it was just a lot of fun to just come out and support folks out here and to cheer people on. Also, another thing I want to mention about Entertainment Hall, they still have the cosplay photo sets, the whole selfie booth thing here too.
I never went to that section.
Yeah, I didn't take any selfies here because a lot of what I was cosplaying from didn't really fit in with the themes of the photo booths, and there was always a bit of a line there. It's like, okay, like, maybe not. And usually, like, in the night, we usually come here to, like, do the selfies, but there's still, like, a significant line, like, even the evening hours. I mean, I'm glad that they're getting some use. The only new one that I saw this year was the convenience store. Like, it's, like, a nighttime type thing, and there's, like, vending machines, kind of like a street kind of scene type thing.
Cool. You know what?
If you're doing like a Yakuza type thing, I guess it's appropriate. But like a lot of what I was cosplaying that weekend was like, okay, ancient China, idol stuff. And like none of them just really seemed to like fit in with what I was going for the shots I wanted.
Well, the one thing is if we were doing Fate, we could basically be anywhere because
this is true.
They go everywhere in grand order, including like, urban Tokyo, or not Tokyo, technically Shinjuku.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Idol Nero. I needed like a Coke from the vending machine. I need like my ramen fix.
Yeah. All the way to, ancient Babylonia. So there's a lot of places and regions they travel to that have very different backgrounds. That would be kind of fun to do, especially if we had like a Gudo or Gudiko to just kind of like be there like with us, like commanding us to battle someone or something. That would be actually kind of a fun thing to do. But a lot of locations are like, well, I don't have something that works for this like sci-fi set kind of thing. And I have nothing in my repertoire that would work for the sci-fi set. You could possibly kind of buy it as maybe Chaldea, like their base, but their base has a very specific look. It'd be cool if they did it, because that'd be an awesome like poster background to have there, to be in like the main command center of Chaldea and then be able to pose there as various servants or masters or what have you. But that would mean synergizing with the major brands that show up at Anime Expo, and God forbid.
Yeah, just walking around the convention on day 3. I also like the sign guy right here, and he's like literally cosplaying as a Twitch streamer, and he's like asking like his audience like, okay, current poll, who will win in a fight? Ultra Instinct Goku or Latin America's love for DBZ? And of course, I had to vote for Latin America's love for DBZ.
Yeah, because that's the right answer.
And this is also what we refer to as the horseshoe zone. I took a couple photos of Giyu in the zone, and this area plus the garage it's attached to, this is known as like where a lot of the photographers and cosplayers were doing photo shoots. And like I was telling you earlier, and like I was mentioning in the show earlier, like there's just some areas, the areas where there was a lot of cosplay photo shoots are not really a good fit for what you and I were bringing to
unless
AX.
You're cosplaying Street Fighter, yeah. Like a parking garage is not usually a place for any character I was wearing.
Yeah, same for me. Like, okay, Yohane, like in a parking garage, no. Nero, maybe if she's like Idol Nero, maybe you can like find some way to work with it. But for Idol Nero, when I was cosplaying as her, I just wanted something opulent. So yeah, Biltmore Hotel.
You wanted to go full Akiba.
And then with Miyaka Yuki in her priestess outfit, which I was wearing that day. Like, no way.
Yeah.
And Snow White, no way. Queen Elizabeth, no thank you.
Yeah.
But I did get some awesome Queen Elizabeth photos last year, so I wasn't too worried about not getting any photos as Queen Elizabeth. But it's just not my favorite place for photos. And plus, you get the scent of like street danger dogs permeating in the air, and
Yes.
like I could only take so much of that scent. I mean, LA Live would be a great place if you're doing like an Akihabara kind of like look to yourself. Like that would have been a great place for my Yohane or even Idol Nero. I could work with that. But I was just, by the end of the day, like you and I were freaking tired, and we were like just ready to like just find a place to take a nap. And I think we were just ready to call it a day early on day 3. We ended up just going over to Tom's Urban for dinner.
Yep.
It was pretty delicious. That's usually our tradition for any time there's a convention over to LA Convention Center. I'm like, yeah, let's go to Tom's Urban. We've always had amazing service there. Luckily, we didn't have to wait too long. Unlike like the last time we were there, we had to like almost like 40 minutes to be seated.
Yeah.
For this time around, hey, just have a seat. Perfect. And you and I decided like, okay, let's just grab some shots. Let's grab like a couple of adult drinks. Just kind of like call it a night.
Yep.
Because sometimes you just kind of need like just that nightcap to just, call it a night. That's why it's called a nightcap.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this is where at the Horseshoe Zone, that's where I got photos of your Gyu. Again, not my favorite place for photos. And even though like Ichiban Market has taken over like one of my favorite places to do like some urban shoots, because you get like the background of the JW Marriott there. Because that's where I took like our JoJo photos several years ago.
Yeah.
But that's okay. I'm okay with it being Ichiban Market. And I'm also okay with just using my hotel as a backdrop for photo shoots too, because I've been teaching myself how to self-shoot, how to self-edit. So yeah, I love these Doki Doki cosplayers here. It's like, oh yay, Doki Doki still has love.
Yeah.
I should bring back Monica one of these days. I ran into a Doki Doki cosplayer group, and then I was like, yeah, I used to cosplay as Monica. I was like, what do you mean used to? You need to bring her back. Like, sure, let's go. I should really wear Monica to like a horror convention, because that's one territory we haven't touched just yet.
We have not. I have ideas for horror-themed cosplays. I just don't have a place to wear them.
Ideas for horror conventions. I could wear Yohane there. I can wear Monica there.
I have basically everything.
Perfect blue.
I have everything to go for Herbert West movie version, so that would make me happy.
Mm-hmm. All right. So before we go to day 4, let's talk about SoCal Idol Fest. SoCal Idol Fest is ran by Annie Marketplace. It'll be taking place on August 12th. Wow, that's in about a month from now, over in Torrance. So if you're a fan of idols, if you love all things idols, check out SoCal Idol Fest in Torrance, California. Torrance is one of my favorite cities in the Southlands. A lot of amazing Japanese food places. Also, this location, I love this location. It's not too far from Del Amo Mall. So if you're even just visiting from out of the area, you're visiting a pretty good suburban area in Southern California. So if you're a fan of idols, go ahead and check out SoCal Idol Fest on August 12th in Torrance. Okay, day 4. Oh, look at that significant crowd change on day 4.
Yeah. Like I said, it was a little more toned down on 3 and 4. Manageable, which was nice.
Yeah, and you can actually see things on the South Hall floor. And I was able to catch some brave cosplayers on day 4, because even I was it was crossing my mind Scarlett, should I cosplay on day 4? Because was already so burnt out. Because that Miyaka wig was just killing my head, because I'm wearing an extra 5 pounds on this wig. I was able to reduce the weight on the wig earlier today, just cut by chopping a lot of the hair off in the back. But anyway, day 4, it even crossed my mind, do I want to cosplay? But you were cosplaying as Sieg, and we wanted to do fake cosplay together.
Yep.
And plus, we wanted to catch a fake Kigurumi show, which is the tradition we do every AX. Yeah, let's go do Fate.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of other highlighted cosplayers here. Star Guardians. I just love the Star Guardian designs. I want to cosplay from this, but I just had to pick a character. At first, I thought she was cosplaying from Pretty Cure. It's oh my god, I love your Pretty Cure cosplay. Oh no, and it's Star Guardians. And I was just looking at her designs. I kind of want to do this. And I saw a Classic Vash. Was oh yeah, Classic Trigun. I love Classic Trigun.
Found a decent amount of Trigun running around there.
Yeah, Trigun both new and old school.
Yeah.
And another one I found is Ryoko from Tenchi.
Yeah, I remember that. And I was she did the hair.
I'm yes, my childhood. Also, some other notable Day 4 cosplayers. We got Lum from Urusei Yatsura. We got Barbie and Ken from the trailer for the Barbie movie. And then we also had a Digimon cosplayer. That is our friend Dan over there.
As Ty.
All right, so Day 4. So we decided to check out the fake Kigurumi show because, again, it's tradition. And this time they brought out Guriko, and they brought out MASH. We didn't check out Altria, but like, okay, I'm just happy with MASH and Guriko. And like, Guriko was sassy.
Yeah. She was throwing some attitude around.
Yeah, Guriko was just stomping her foot on the stage like, yeah, I'm ready to step on y'all.
And they moved them over with the shadow border, and we all got our photos there, which is fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's always fun just costing as Fate and just taking selfies with the Kigurumi characters here, because it's like going to Disneyland. It's like going to a character meet and greet where one of the characters decides to abuse you with their foot. In my case, if you see the photo, if I see one of our title cards, we use our selfie with MASH and Guriko, and it looks like Guriko is touching my butt. I mean, I'm not going to complain, but but Guriko was just getting sassy.
Yeah.
And I just love it.
MASH was just being all timid and stuff in the background.
Oh yeah, that's MASH.
Very in character.
Like, yeah, Guriko. I just love how the attitude that Guriko was just throwing.
Yeah, I think we all were very much in character in that photo, because I think for Sig, I'm just kind of like, I'm here. Hi.
I'm here. And like, hi, I'm a rich person. I'm the upper class. Also, we decided to check out the charity auction because they didn't have the charity auction prizes or like charity auction bidding items until Day 4.
Yeah, that
because
was a problem.
We were wondering about because every now and then we always like to check out the charity, and in this case, Anime Expo, they were partnering up with Kizuna. Kizuna is an organization that helps out Japanese American types of organizations, and usually like, okay, that sounds great. I love coming out to support the Asian American community. The auction was at 1:30, but by that time we were already leaving the convention. But otherwise, like if we were allowed to stay a little bit longer, we probably would have checked it out. So with Day 4 here, with the charity auction, we were just kind of like just looking at what they had, and a lot of these were just from the dealer's hall. A lot of these were just from the various booths over in the entertainment hall. So a lot of these weren't there on Day 3 because usually when there's like an auction going on, I like to see what's present there so I can like make a determination on what do I want to bid on and how much should I put on each item. Because you and I, we've actually have done charity auctions before.
I used to do them all the time pre-pandemic because they inevitably have like, hey, here's a box set of insert anime, and oh, it's signed by one of our guests. Look at that. And I was like, oh, cool. So I've gotten some things like that are signed because I did the charity auction thing. Sometimes posters and stuff too. It's a good way to give money to charity while also like collect if you want autographs of specific items. But knowing they're there ahead of time helps because you go and say, oh wow, they have a poster with the like hypothetically they didn't have this, but if they had a Love Live poster or a what they call the pencil boards signed by like the Love Live actors who were here, that could have been a really cool item to say, yeah, I'm going to stay, I want that.
However, Jay, they did have a Boba plush signed by Shaquille O'Neal.
Because when I think Boba, I think Shaquille O'Neal.
For context, people, Shaquille O'Neal was a DJ at one of the dances. I'll let that sit with y'all.
Yeah. We didn't go to do any of that after party garbage. We had no interest
Technically,
in it.
this wasn't an after party. This was Neon District. It was in the main events hall, so it was like its own separate dance competing with the regular AX dance.
That's the dumbest thing I've heard in a long time.
Also, Day 4, we also decided to like just go grab some of the Nyandums over at the Bandai Namco booth. Like, okay, we need to get some Nyandums. We have not opened them yet, but you can check out our Jay's YouTube channel and my TikTok later, hopefully by the end of the week.
Oh, before the end of the week, yeah, it'll be up.
By the end of the week, we'll have our unveiling.
Unboxing. It's going to be a lot of fun because we both have different characters we want. I was talking about that on my Twitch stream recently.
I'm just very happy that the Nyandum figures came out because I saw these at San Diego Comic-Con last year. I was like, okay, I need all of them. I need to give them all of them good homes.
Mm-hmm.
All All right, and that's you and me over at the Fate booth. It's right by the diner, like 6th anniversary poster for the English release.
Which is, yeah, they gave that card away for anyone playing. You'll get this. Is it literally called English 6th Anniversary card?
And I do want to cosplay as this version of Saber Lily, just kind of hanging out like at the cafe here. I assume that's Saber Lily.
It might be regular.
And she's just like, yay, I have food. You don't see it in the photo, but Fu is like in the leather jacket and glasses.
Sunglasses,
yeah. Yeah, it's just reminding me of like the fawns.
And you get waitress outfit Da Vinci Chan, which is great.
I just love the outfits here because I just have a weakness for like 1950 style diner aesthetics. And I know that's like also like an aspirational aesthetic in Japan, like the 1950s kind of like rubies kind of aesthetic.
Yeah.
So like it's also my aesthetic too, because I also noticed that the Nyandam on the Bandai Namco, when they were selling all their cat stuff and their blind box stuff, also had like a retro diner themed to them as well. It's like, oh yeah, you're speaking my language.
Yeah, it's something about Americana that Japan really loves.
Yeah, it was like my original aesthetic for the for my live streams here. I might go back to that aesthetic. I just kind of still have to just plan out what I want for a VTube/PingTube, and I just haven't found the right artist that I vibe with just yet. Also, this is our usual, like, we're leaving the con selfie. You can see how out of it we are. But we know it. We're costuming from Fate, and we're actually posing right in front of the Fate Grand Order banner.
Yeah.
And you also got the selfie with the Ifrit over at the Final Fantasy booth.
Yeah. Posing as if I'm, like, using my magic.
Yeah, day 4. Just decided, like, just pretty much call it a day before 1:30. Just took the shuttle back to the hotel. I took some selfies, made some TikTok videos at the hotel before I got out of Nero.
I laid in a chair and just
It was a cozy chair.
slowly took all the pieces of my costume off that I could take off in public.
And then got picked up, and we just called it a day. And that was AX.
Yeah.
All right, and before we go into our post feedback, let me tell you about YMAX Sweaters. Convention Tea is brought to you by YMAX Sweaters. You can use our code YMAC-Dame Asbel to get 40% off your order at ymacsweater.com. I love this place. I was able to get a couple cardigans, some cozy gifts for my relatives and in-laws, long line sweaters, regular sweaters, or if you just want like a classic vintage cardigan. So if you're looking for something cozy to add to your closet or just gift something to family or friends, use my code YMAC-Dame Asbel to get 40% off your order at ymacsweater.com. I also want to give a special thanks to Cosplay Wrestling Federation for having us as a part of the show. A special thanks to Anime Expo Programming for always inviting us to do panels at your convention. We hope to run panels again next year. Always looking forward to it because one of the ups of Anime Expo is we always get an amazing audience that shows up at our panels, and it's always appreciated. And special thanks to each and every one of you who showed up to Cosplay Wrestling Federation and to my fabric shopping panel. Thank you so much for supporting us. And we hope to see you at some of our future upcoming panels at other local conventions. So I just want to give a special thanks to that too. Also, I love this photo here because it's at the Delicious in Dungeon booth. And like, you and I have an interest in this. It's basically like Fantasy World plus food.
Yeah.
And they're like this big ass ramen bowl, like right in front of here. It's like, All right, let's talk about constructive criticism. Where do we begin?
Okay, so we have mentioned a few things throughout the course of this, so it's kind of rehash those real quick. First off, for the lines, the registration lines need to be streamlined, and if possible, in the waiting zones, try to get more shade available.
Please, more shade.
People like me do not have enough like energy to be able to withstand that much heat in our face for extended periods of time.
Yeah, or even like just having like just someone from AX just sell bottles of water for $1. I think we would appreciate that too.
In addition to that, we did briefly bring up the fact that they had 2 competing dances. That's really, really dumb. Don't do that. One dance.
I also didn't like how Cosplay Wrestling Federation was also up against Masquerade and WCS, World Cosplay Summit. So just having 2 main cosplay events go head-to-head up against each other, I thought it was like, well, because Fanmade also has this issue too, because you have a 2 cosplay performance events going head to head. And while they might attract different audiences, there's a lot of intersect coming with those two audiences because, like, yeah, maybe one day I'll go back and do AX Masquerade or WCS, or I just want to just come and support my friends there. And I also want to do CWF as a performer or just a supporter like I was this year. So just kind of like just being cognizant of like certain events that like that might draw like the same audience in. So that's I just always just found it weird that Cosplay Wrestling Federation and Masquerade were held on the same night when they honestly should be on two different nights. But that's just my opinion. I also feel that the entertainment hall, I love that the entertainment hall is just getting so much traction and it's getting so much more love. And I feel like now you need like split up what's in the entertainment hall to other areas of the convention. And I feel like there's a lot of unused space at the JW Marriott that we used to use. And you can put like tabletop over there. You can put e-gaming over there. I'm also just at a point when I'm looking at some of the cosplay gathering zones, like I feel cosplay gatherings aren't really a thing anymore at Anime Expo because sometimes like, oh, there's this cosplay gathering site, yet people are using that site to just kind of create AX Shantytown. And I just kind of feel with cosplay gatherings, just move those to like hotels or like the JW Marriott.
What they need to do with cosplay gatherings is putting them outside is a terrible idea because no one wants to be out in the July sun in Southern California unless they're at the beach or something. But if it was just a large ballroom in one of the hotels, the way they did it for like
Boston,
Otakon or Boston have both done that. And if it's a large enough room, put a divide in the middle and say this is section A, this is section B, and you can have gatherings going at both times. Some photographers can literally shoot one side, turn around, and shoot the other side.
Because we were seeing that entertainment hall is like becoming like a dealer's hall part 2 with
It
the
is.
presence of NIS, Genshin, Yostar in there, which I don't mind them being there. Like, yeah. But when you have like a lot of the space like taken up by Trash Taste, and whatnot, I really feel that like we should start like just kind of like reimagining the entertainment hall and like just dividing up like what needs to go to like just other sections because I love the entertainment hall. And I just kind of feel like it's at a point where like we just kind of need to section off, like we need like to start like putting things in different rooms so those other events, those other sections of programming can also grow and thrive as well because there's only so much space in that West Hall room.
Yeah. And by moving them to those other locations, you might be able to expand them into other things. You know, have some D&D, or if not D&D, you know, teach people how to play Thirsty Sword Lesbians or any Big Eye Small Mouth or any number of other anime-themed tabletop could be a lot of fun. Even if you just had demonstrations for people to just watch and get a good laugh out of a silly game. You know, I'll look, if you want, I will run a round of that. I'll get some CWF people to join up with me or whoever I can find, and we'll do a quick one-shot, you know, presentation, 2-hour-long thing or 3-hour-long thing of, you know, wackiness, just to show people, hey, this is how this game is played, and also here's some just shenanigans with, you know, me and whoever wants to play. It can be fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Any other constructive criticism we have for Anime Expo? Oh yeah, and also if you are on like any Anime Expo social media, whether it's official or unofficial, and someone is providing feedback, please do not throw shade at them. Make sure you're reading the feedback thoroughly, and if you're representing Anime Expo as staff on that thread, be it an official or unofficial platform, please use courtesy and professionalism, and please use basic customer service. Please do not throw shade or belittle your attendees, because after providing feedback about panelists, I feel this goes back into like just kind of earlier on the stream where I talk about, I think panelists, we need to have a badge that indicates that we are panelists.
Yes.
Whether it's you bump us up to professional or industry, or there's like a marker, there's like a sticker on our 4-day badge that says panelist, or like an indicator on there, just so we can get like priority entrance. Technically, you and I have priority entrance because of ADA reasons. But for those who do not have access to that, I really feel that there needs to be some sort of indicator on the badge that this person is a panelist, or just bump them up to professional or industry if they're doing a presentation. When I provided that feedback on one of the unofficial channels for Anime Expo and someone's claiming to be staff, I was just kind of been thrown shade, and I really wish that the staff person in question had a lot more professionalism and had a lot more customer service when addressing the issue. With that said, do you have any other constructive criticism? I know we definitely cheered about the Ichiban market. Yes, keep Ichiban market. Yes, keep that.
That's one of the best things. Expanding it a little bit would be nice, but don't make it so overwhelming. The beer garden seems like it was completely unnecessary.
Yeah, I kind of felt like I feel like you can nix the beer garden and use that section to expand the Ichiban market. Or Ichiban Market Part 2, I don't know.
In addition to that, I think they handled, at least the food side was handled fairly well, especially because there's not a lot of food options around the LA Convention Center.
Yeah, there's not a lot of options that are affordable. Like, you and I can afford something like Tom's Urban. A lot of the attendees I've noticed skewed a lot younger.
Yeah.
So, like, even I was talking to a friend of mine, like, yeah, I'm on a budget, but I'm here at Okamoto Kitchen. Hopefully I can get something here. So I felt like there was a couple affordable options when you had some of the food trucks out there. And plus LA, that area of LA is almost like a dry place for like quick service food options.
However, what they do need is they need water stations.
Yes.
We went to one water fountain, and literally while we were in line for it, it ran out.
How does like something run out of water?
Especially because I believe it's supposed to be connected to the main line for water, so I don't know how that happens. But they need to have that there. During my panel, I was already dry-throated, but generally your panel, I was dry-throated already. I don't have to talk as much as you do, but like I was expecting a bottle of water or something like normal.
Yeah, that was another thing that
I didn't have that.
Yeah, that's another thing about being a panelist. I hope like next year for panelists, at least give us a bottle of water right before we go on, or even like a cup of water is fine too, because I know it's Fanime. If you wanted a bottle of water before you got on as a panelist, you had to ask for it. And even when we were doing CWF, they weren't providing us some water before we go on or off stage.
Yep.
And for something like CWF, you gotta give your participants water. And then, and especially if you're running a panel when you're lecturing, I really feel like a bottle of water needs to be provided. And that's one of the things I appreciate about San Diego Comic-Con is they always make room. Like, yeah, if you need like a bottle of water or two, here you go.
Yeah. And so that's one of those bigger issues, not just for the performance type people, but also just in general for the attendees, because we kind of need water to live. And when it's that hot and people are sweating and burning themselves out running around a ginormous convention center, having a place where you can just get a cup of water,
because not everyone can afford that $100 plus or however much it costs Wild Bill's refillable soda thing.
And even then, soda's not great when you're dehydrated.
So yeah, just some food for thought, no pun intended, for Anime Expo. And I think that pretty much sums about it for our constructive...
Yeah, those are my major issues.
Yeah, because we can talk about the crowds and how that's an issue for like the next couple of hours, but that pretty much, it just kind of goes without saying when you're thinking about Anime Expo, when you're looking at the crowds and whatnot.
But the only way they could lower the crowd is by putting a attendance cap, and that's going to cause a bunch of other issues.
Yeah, a lot of people are suggesting like, oh, AX should do a lottery system now. Like AX should be like San Diego Comic-Con or D23. AX should like do and have a thing where it's lottery for panels and stuff. We joke about that.
That's part of my Walt Disney routine for CWF.
Yeah, thank you for giving us content. Anyway, but that's just pretty much the gist of our constructive criticism for Anime Expo 2023. All right. Oh, yeah, here's our photos with the Ifrit here for final thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so yeah, that's you as Sieg as Ifrit, and that's me as Yohane with Ifrit, and that's me with my friend, that girl with a great smile who's a huge Gundam fan. So, final thoughts on Anime Expo 2023.
Overall, it wasn't terrible, because there were a lot of good moments. The food market, the entertainment hall, some of the programming options. And I generally enjoyed it. I hate going down to the LA Convention. I hate the LA Convention Center's just layout in general, and I hate getting in and out of that convention center is just a nightmare. Going
smell.
once a year or twice a year if I end up going to LA Comic Con, which
Again, it's another thing for us LA locals. Like, it's this weekend. You want to go? Sure.
yeah, isn't fun for me. It just stresses me out getting in and out of there. Cosplaying there is fine, but when it gets crowded, you better wear something. And between that and the heat, really, you got to think about what costumes that you're going to wear that you'll be able to survive in.
Also, wearing costumes that you need to wear to survive crowds. Because normally with Yohane, with this particular costume, I would have a pair of black wings. And at the last minute, I decided not to wear the black wings. And also, she wears like these Mary Jane like high heel shoes. I decided to wear my comfort like black flats with the insoles on there.
So it's definitely in that category for me where it's always gonna be a question of, is the hassle worth the event? And when I can get limited edition NIS stuff, when I can get limited edition or hard to find Gundam related merch or Genshin stuff. Not that I'm really into Genshin, but it is an option. That kind of stuff does kind of make it worth it. I don't think you should go just to eat at the marketplace and take some photos of the entertainment hall. But if there's a guest you really want to see, or if you're really into specific franchises that they sell merch from, they had some really interesting Fate merch as well, including Neko Arc plushes.
Sold out.
Which sold out almost immediately. But
sad. So sad.
But the point is, they had those things as options, and if you're into that, it might be worth the hassle. If you're from another state and you just want to say, I went to Anime Expo once, go for it, I guess. It's not going to be as great as you're thinking.
Just plan, if you're going to a panel, line up like 90 minutes early. Know that you'll be waiting out in the sun, because not all panelists will let you in right away. Because I decided, like, wait, my audience is waiting in the sun? Have them come in.
Yeah.
Wait in the shade.
Also of note, most of the time they do not clear rooms.
This is their first year where they decided not to clear rooms. And I actually did know friends who were just camping out in the main events hall for the trigger panel.
Because I probably would have done that for certain things if I'd really thought about it.
Yeah, we would have done that for Fates or for like Yohane, had it not been for my panel.
Yes. And we potentially could have done that for Grand Order if we really wanted to. Although they might actually clear that room out. I'm not certain.
They probably didn't. I would have probably done that for Grand Order as well.
But for stuff like CWF, it was really annoying because we have a lot of pre-show stuff we try to set up, and having people there kind of takes some of the magic away. So we really could have used a room clear for setting up CWF. I don't think it affected the show in any sort of way, and I hope those people still had a fun time. But that's just kind of one of those things, and that's a sticking point for me, is I would have liked CWF to be room cleared. So yeah, there are some issues like that you're going to have to think about before going. I'm glad I went, considering I was at that mindset of, look, I'm only going if I do CWF or panels, and we ended up doing a panel and CWF, so yeah. And I'm glad I went overall. I think it was something I kind of needed to just kind of hang out with other anime people, even though my interactions with other people are incredibly limited because I'm not a social person.
And you know what? I really thought the vibe of Anime Expo this year was pretty cool, because even you and I were able to have conversations with random people while we were sitting down at Ichiban Market.
Yeah.
And like, I just thought people were generally friendly. And even when I was like seeing security, because they were using like hired suits for security, they were playing like just guess that cosplay. I'm like, wait, that's Indiana Jones. Like, dude, that's Frank West. Or like, dude, I love your Goku. Like, just seeing like just the security just to interact with like playing like the guess that cosplayer thing. I thought that was pretty funny. Overall, like I thought this year was so with my experience. I've had better AXs, but it's not as bad as like how I'm portraying it. Like day 1 and day 2, it's like, ugh.
They were a nightmare.
Yeah, and day 3, day 4, I had a much more positive experience kind of going throughout the con. But day 3, I was just so out of it. I was just so sleep deprived. I think had I had a lot more sleep, I probably would have enjoyed day 3 more. Not to say like, yeah, day 3 sucked, but day 3 there's a lot of good points to day 3.
When you're exhausted, everything's bad.
Yeah, but I still made do with what I was given. I was able to get a lot of exclusive Love Live merch. I even got the vinyl record set of the live performance of Aquas when they were in Los Angeles. I got the exclusive button set of Johanne's voice actress visiting Los Angeles. I was able to get a Guilty Kiss face mask. So anytime I'm at a convention and they require a mask and I'm costing as Johanne, I can wear that mask to match my costume. And then I also picked up this print that I've been eyeing for like almost a year. The artist is called Jido Studio, and they do these Chinese calligraphy inspired portraiture of various anime characters. And they had one of Saber, and I've been eyeing that portrait for like the longest time. And I wasn't sure like where they were based out of because I've only seen them at one con, and that was Anime Pasadena. And I saw them at Anime Expo. And then, like, you know what? I'm just going to pick up that Saber portraiture. And if your brother has any fandoms that he's into, maybe I could pick up something for him. They also had the Gilgamesh print.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm like, yeah, I was very happy to give it a good home. And a shout out to my friend Ace for being able to translate the Chinese calligraphy on it. And it was just basically a Buddhist monk's incantation on there. And I had a pretty good merch haul. Didn't really buy anything from the Genshin booth as much as I'm much of a Genshin cosplayer. I'm a cosplayer, and I also still log in every now and then with Genshin, but it didn't have my favorite characters because I'm Team Mommy, Lisa, Jean, Beidou, Ningguang. If there's merch of them, I'll gladly take it, but sadly, they did not have my favorites. Sad face. But I did like their booth. I did because it had a leeway kind of theme to it. I was costuming as Miyaka. Okay, I'm going to take some photos here as Miyaka at the Genshin booth. I really liked costuming as Miyaka at the convention, even though Yu Watase, they were a guest for a couple years at Anime Expo. Yeah, like, no one knew what I was from, but that's okay. I got a lot of compliments for my outfit. Like, I love your outfit. I love your outfit. You know, that's okay because it's a costume that makes me happy, and I'm cool with that. And with that said, you can follow us over on our website, scarletrhapsody.com. Please support us if you like our show, like what we do. You can always send us a donation over at our Ko-Fi over here. And again, this has been Dame Scarlett Aznavour.
And Jared the Greek.
And we will see you at the con. And that con will be San Diego Comic-Con.
Yay, another super packed, busy event.
Well, we got reservations for the Cat Cafe.
Yay!
You get to see cats.
I do appreciate